So a number of customers have been asking for the longest time to be able to support some type of security, some security Captcha or whatever it may be in light registration flows. Light registration flows are supposed to be the most frictionless of all flows that we have. The idea is to increase conversion rates, reduce friction, and allow customers to provide only the minimal amount of information necessary in order for them to interact with the brand. However, there are scenarios, particularly in the case where a user gets something in return for sharing some information or subscribing to a product. Imagine a campaign where you get a 5% or 10% discount code for subscribing to a newsletter or for subscribing to deals from a certain brand. Of course, it's worth it for the brand to offer that to you, and it's worth it for you as a user to get that by simply providing a small piece of profile information like your email address. Unfortunately, in a lot of cases like that, there are widespread uses of registration fraud, simply because malicious actors can aggregate or collect discount codes, which they then sell on the open market or in the dark web, depending on where you may
just grab a bunch of key from Google Captcha for client, and we are able to add them to the configuration for site configuration, to link the actual site with the Google reCAPTCHA, then take a look on policies and enable their Captcha V3 risk assessment for enabling the latest version of reCAPTCHA.
So in those types of scenarios, one of the challenges that we have is how do we add additional protection to light registration or to light flows without increasing friction, which is something, of course, that we're clearly trying to avoid in those scenarios. And so Captcha V3 actually comes and helps us here, because instead of preventing an obvious visible challenge, Captcha V3 allows us to return a risk score, which is an indicator of the level of risk of a given interaction, and then keeping all of your security
or to emulate what client is actually will be doing, but from his side.
Keeping all of your security policies managed in one central location, which is RBA, you can now decide what type of action to take based on a risk score of a certain level. So below a certain level, you may not want to do anything because we know that this is a legitimate user and you don't need to challenge them. But for fraud, bots, or malicious actors where we would expect the risk score to be high, and therefore giving us an indication that something is not right, we now have the option using RBA and our out-of-the-box screen sets to collect that risk score and challenge a bot or malicious actor with a visible Captcha challenge to prevent those types of fraud in the future. So you get the best of both worlds. You have a completely frictionless experience for users with a high level of assurance that are legitimate, normal users, with the ability now to challenge potentially malicious actors or increase friction in that experience for users who you do not necessarily want to be able to register and collect things like discount codes when they don't deserve them.